Up until maybe 2 months and a half ago, I had never actually interviewed anybody in my life.
Well, you could have fooled me. and
Uh-huh.
you could have fooled me. You did a great job with the interview, and
Oh, thank you. I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this in your interview. I mean, when we finished later, I said that you were probably like the 10th or 15th person I interviewed in my life. But I've always been thinking. I had always been thinking about organizing an event like this. 2 months, 100 interviews later, about 5 or 6, close to 6,000 attendees actually joined the event, and the relationships that I've built is in themselves, honestly, a really big addition to where I was 2 3 months ago to where I am today. So there's been a lot of benefits, a lot of great results happening as because of this event, and I want to talk more about it. I want to share all the details, and I want to share the things that our audience right now can do to benefit from it. It's one of those things that I think is, I usually say, overnight success, there's really no such thing as overnight success. It's more like a journey, a 10-year journey to success. But if I was to maybe select one approach, one method to shorten this period, to maybe have like a 2 3 months short-term overnight success, then I think this is it, to be honest with you.
I just want to highlight that to me, 2 months sounds really fast to achieve those kind of results and get that much work done. So you had 100 interviewees in the summit, and
Hmm.
then 6,000 attendees, and there's a website, there's lots of emails, lots of communication and coordination. On my side, as one of your speakers, it was very organized. Everything was under control. You didn't seem stressed out. I was like, whoa, that's cool. So when I find out that you pulled this off in a couple months, that's pretty amazing.
Um, it was real. I actually got sick in the middle because
Yeah.
I was doing 7 interviews. The average was probably 3 4 a day, but some days I was doing 7 8 interviews. And sometimes, I got to prepare, right? I need
Yeah.
to know more about the speaker, and maybe not prepare the exact same questions I'm going to ask, but at least know what more or less I'm going to be asking. So that was really the hardest part of organizing an event like this. And I've had calls over the past 2 weeks, and one of the most asked questions has been, so did you know those speakers in the past? How did you get them to an interview? 90 out of the 105 I interviewed, I'd never met or spoke with before.
I can't even remember how we got in touch, but the main thing, me as a speaker or somebody who has some audience, is I was just listening to the offer. I'm like, yeah, bootstrapping. You're okay. This is relevant to my audience. Like, it doesn't matter that you're, if you were an internet celebrity or anything. It was like you presented like what you were doing, and I'm like, yep, my people need that. Simple as that.
Yeah, so here's what I did. I mean, it for me and you, it was fantastic because you're talking about bootstrapping. You're a bootstrapper entrepreneur, and you always you are a big supporter of bootstrapping. So that was perfect. But usually when I email someone, I again do a little bit of research about them, see what recent publication they had or announcement or anything like that, and then I be personal and specific, and then try to get their interest in an interview. And this worked. Maybe 55% of the people I interviewed agreed to an interview. Even those who said no asked me if they could do it later in the year. So once you get the interviews taken care of, when you finish the interviews, you've got maybe 70% of the whole event done. You just have to do some work with the website and the rest.
Why did you decide to do this in the first place?
Let me give you. I emailed my community 2 days ago, and I told them this story. 2 years ago, I had a mentor, and he was sharing some results with me. He said, "Let me show you something." 2 months ago, I emailed my community, and I sold 5,000. He's a SaaS startup founder, so he was building a software as a service startup. He said 2 months ago, I emailed my community and I pre-sold $4,000 or $5,000 worth of this idea that I'm launching. Yesterday, he said, I sent the same audience a different email and I sold $475,000 worth of membership. So I said, all right, so what happened? Is there anything I need to know here? He said, don't you get it? Did you see me running around workspaces asking people for comments, feedback? Everything happened thanks to the audience and the community that I have built. It was because of them that I sent one email, generated $5,000, learned all the things I needed to learn. I spent 2 months working on my value proposition and product, and then emailed them again and hit a jackpot. So what I want to tell you, he said, is that you need to invest in building a community and building an audience. And I've done everything. I invested in content marketing. I've created guides. I've created videos. I have guest posted, been on podcasts. And then eventually I said, I've been thinking about running this online event. And I've been doing some research. I've talked to some friends. And it seems like it's one of the ways I can invest my time and a little bit of money, honestly. We can talk about the money later because it really is one of those investments that don't require a lot of money. So I can invest some of my time to provide value to my audience, to strengthen my personal brand in the space, and to generate or to build or grow an audience that is likely to one day invest in some of the products that I will generate. So the reason why I created this summit was for me, so I can grow my audience. But the outcome that came out of this summit was way more than the goal that I had in the beginning. Not only did I build relationships with about 120 people, 120 leaders, experts in the space. Not only did I grow an audience and build a new list of fans that have never heard about me, but also I have actually, for example, my plan in the beginning was just grow an audience. I don't want this to be paid. I want it to be free. It doesn't matter. I just want people to come. And then with a little bit of research, by talking to some of my mentors, they said, well, give people an opportunity to get more benefits, to get premium benefits. So I put a small fee on getting the all access pass. Just by doing that, the amount that I generated, first of all, I broke even in the first 2 days from launching the event, the little investment that I told you invested to create the event. Second of all, I was able to validate some ideas I had about coaching services for those who invested in the premium plan as an upsell. And number three, some of the people that never heard about me came to me and told me, I know you have a startup development studio. I know you help entrepreneurs take ideas to first paying customer, including product development and so on. I'm really interested in working with you. So that turns into a 5-figure project. Those are just some of the benefits that came out of running or organizing this event, in addition to what I hoped to accomplish in the first place.
That's great. I just want to ask you some clarifying questions.
Yeah.
For you listening, if you haven't heard of a virtual summit, you had 100 speakers, is that right?
Yeah, 100.
That's a lot. And typically the way that this works is it's free while it's live, and then there's the all access pass, which means you can then access all this stuff after the week or 3 days or whatever is over. Otherwise, you can just watch what you can while it's live or free or whatever. That's what the all access pass is, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Was there any other benefits with that, or just access to the content?
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is to make it even more unique or more interesting for people to join the all access passes, to have live Q&A sessions, one-on-one with speakers. We had 6 speakers. One of them was you. So you came on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, and we talked about building digital products, bootstrapping businesses, launching digital products, and pre-selling. So
I just want to say, I thought that was really cool because you gave the audience a chance to interact live with I mean, it was pre-recorded, like a lot of the presentations, but there was also an opportunity for people to engage, you know, which was to like, you know, there was a panel of different people on different days that they could interact with. Like that kind of access is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was essential, to be honest with you. I think that, you know, when we talk, because, all right, we give it a week, right? We say the Bootstrapping Summit or any summit is going to be launched from, for me, it was the 9th until the 13th. But people will expect, you know, when we say 9th until the 13th, they expect something live, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not just pre-recorded like podcasts.
Right.
We needed to have something to show that not only will you have all the sessions pre-recorded, but also you're going to have an opportunity to interact with some of the best speakers, ask your questions live, build relationships, strike conversations, and you know what, follow up later and ask you questions if you want. So I think that was essential to the value, to building value in any online event.
That's cool. I just have to wonder, because I'm a podcaster, I'm almost at 200 podcast episodes on my podcast. The thought of recording 100 of them in like a week or two or a month it sounds really intense. How did you do it? I know you said you got sick. It wasn't easy. Like you really like went all in, but like, how'd you pull that off?
It was one day I was thinking about, you know, I had been thinking, as I said, about organizing a summer for a while, but I remember one evening I said, you know what, tomorrow it's going to be it. I'm not sure what I want to do next. I mean, I know what I want to do next, but I'm not sure what to really focus on next. And I think this is the best time to do it. So the next day I emailed about 70 people, 70 experts. I got, I think, 12 answers, 12 confirmations. The day after I did the same thing. So the first week, all I did was was emailing people, pitching experts. The week after, it was all interviews and pitching experts. So the way I did it is I put everything else aside and I said, you know, I'm going to do 3-4 interviews on average a day. It will take 30 to 45 minutes. And that's it. So this is what I have planned. It was really in my mind for a while, and I just decided that this is going to be my focus over the next 2 months. Now, having said that, Chris, you really don't need 100 people. You don't need 100 experts. In fact, one of the comments I got later is that it's really great to have that many options, but I think what I would rather focus on is you know, this specific area or that specific area. So I think what I could have done is could have been more specific in terms of topic wise, or in terms of the topic. We could have said maybe bootstrapping digital product or bootstrapping SaaS startups. And I could have had maybe 30, 40 speakers and I could still get the same success I got with this event. So just to clarify, you really don't need 100 people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the money investment. How, like, so you have a couple months of time. How much money did it cost to pull this off?
It probably cost me. I'm thinking right now because I'm thinking whether I should include the people that I'm already hiring or not. But if I include those who I'm already hiring, then it would probably be maybe $800.
So it's approachable. It's not like a huge investment.
Anybody could do it. Really, anybody could do it. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of investment, you know, financial investment. And there are many of the things that I could have done. I could have actually saved on, but I decided, you know, to invest a little extra and make it look a little more professional, especially from terms of the website.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you choose the people?
So that's the thing. So about the people, there's a strategy involved here. There are three types of experts that you want to have in your summit. Those that you know are not going to promote, but will add significant intangible value to the summit. When people see big names on the summit page, they're going to be more likely to join. You want to have at least 5 of those there. The second group are experts that have a lot of experience, that have so much to share, but are more likely to promote. You want about 30, 40, 50% of those to be involved in the summit. And number three, those who have a lot of experience and have so many lessons to share, but are most likely to share. First of all, you got to categorize those into these three groups. And then for me, as I said, it was too broad. So when I said bootstrapping, I mean, 98% of startups are bootstrapped. So chances are when I go, when I look for people to interview, chances are they're either bootstrapped or they started bootstrapped. So it didn't really matter for me. But there is a way that made it a lot faster to find those experts. I picked the top 5 podcasts and in the industry, and then I filtered by keywords. For me, it was bootstrapping, and I started with the most recent interviews. Recency is very important because if I email those that have had their interview a year ago, it would have been less relevant to them than if I emailed people that had just been interviewed on that podcast.
I think it's coming back to me. I was on Entrepreneur on Fire podcast. I don't know if that's how you found me, but maybe. I don't know. I'm a guest on a lot of podcasts.
So the way I found you, I was talking to Tom Works. He recommended I reach out to you, and I reach out to you. But I actually used Mixergy more than Entrepreneur on Fire. And the reason behind that is because Andrew Warner, who I interviewed last week, actually, he couldn't make it for the summit. Andrew Warner said, has the bootstrapping category. So it made it really, really easy for me.
He dominates that. And he also has like a very high, like he has a standard of who gets on there or whatever.
Yeah, I think you have to generate at least $350,000 a year, and you have to have some kind of proof. Yeah, it's pretty selective. So that's the idea, Chris. I mean, the hypothesis is if they are able to get on a podcast like that, then, they should be experts. They should be influencers. People should know about them. And that's how I started. And so that's really the simplest approach to do it, by relying on other platforms to find the experts.
That is cool. Well, what else? Tell us about your, you have the Accelerate method. So was that something you planned on making from the beginning, or is that something that you just wanted to share lessons learned after you went through all this, or where did that come from?
So here's the thing. 3 months ago, I had a different plan for what's going to happen next, for what's going to happen now, actually.
Spoken like a bootstrapper. The plans change as time goes on.
I know, man. It's a straight line. Never a straight line.
Yeah.
So I had a plan to launch a different type of program, the bootstrapping program, where I work with entrepreneurs over 6 months and help them go from idea or hypothesis to first paying customer. But after I've gone through the summit, I was like, put everything else aside. I think this is what every entrepreneur has to at least consider. Because let's say you're starting, I was pitching an article idea to Growth Lab yesterday. So Sean asked me, all right, this is cool, but how can you organize an event without an existing audience? I told him, well, that's the whole idea of the event. That's the whole idea of the Accelerate method. It's one way to speed up building an audience without you having an audience. It's about providing experts and companies with a strong enough reason for them to bring their audience and network to you.
I just want to say it's an easy sell. Like on my side, I would do it anyways because my heart goes out to bootstrappers, and I'm happy to give back. But just knowing that, like, potentially, like you said, not everybody's going to promote your summit that gets to speak, but knowing that I'm going to be in front of similar people that from somebody else's influence, it's like, yeah, I could use some more audience too. And after your event, I had people contacting me through different channels like, hey, I met you on the Bootstrapper Summit. I had another guy, one of the things I do that's a little different is I don't hide behind the website. So like on my Twitter profile, there's a link to schedule a call with me through Calendly, and we have a meeting like through Zoom or whatever. But somebody who watched your summit, I mentioned that on your summit, And then this guy scheduled a link with me, and I was on the call with him, and he was like, yeah, I heard you on the Bootstrapper Summit. So like, that's somebody that like was not in my marketing funnel or anything like that. It was, they just came to your summit through somebody else, and here we are, now we're connected. So
Exactly, Chris. So that's what I just started the sentence with, providing experts and companies with a strong enough reason for them to bring their audience and network to you. That is a strong enough reason for you. Highlighting your expertise through an interview that's going to be exposed to thousands of people is one way that is a strong enough reason for you to tell your audience about this event. Being surrounded by other experts in the space is also another reason for you to highlight your expertise, for us to highlight your expertise as a speaker, and make our ask of whether you could share with your audience a lot easier. So to answer Sean, the editor at Growth Labs question, I mentioned these two. I said, well, number one, the experts are the ones that are going to be promoting us because of reason number one, reason number two. And number two, when we have the experts, when we have big names involved and categorized in those three categories that we obviously don't talk about, what's going to happen is that I can go to companies like ClickMeter, Rebrandly, Bubble, FreeUp, LifterLMS, and I can tell you we're going to have 100 experts. We're going to expect 20 to 40,000 visitors to the website. And we're going to also email your brand, your company, to our attendees over 4 different emails throughout the week of the summit. Would you be interested in sending an email or two to your subscribers in exchange? And that's how you're going to get and build a new audience from scratch. So that was my answer to Sean. And this is why creating an event like this is what I called earlier your 3 months overnight success.
Yeah, that's super cool. Plus, you as the summit organizer, I emailed a lot of people on my list, and it's not like everybody moves over to your list. You get the people that resonate with your offer, that are engaged, like clicking through and doing stuff and taking action and registering on your site. So the quality of the list you get, regardless of how big or small it is, it's like a really engaged group of people. I would guess, I can't say because I haven't done this before, but just thinking through the dynamics of how that works, you get a really great, especially if you're starting without an email list or a small email list, you're really like getting a great group of people that's significant and has high levels of engagement.
Absolutely. And the metric for that is that about 40, actually 50 for me, because I used one of the tools that really helped me convert more people by personalizing the homepage. About 51% of those who visit the website join the Bootstrapping Summit. And throughout the week of the launch of the summit, I email people every day, right? About 40 to 50% of my emails get opened. So that's another metric to prove what you just said right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. I had something else for you. It'll come back to me in a second. Can you tell us more what's inside your guide, the Accelerate method?
Sure. So I listed everything I did to launch this online program, and what I'm calling it the Accelerate method because I'm not talking specifically about online summits or online events. Online events is the medium through which you apply the Accelerate method, but it's really about leveraging the audience of other people and providing them with a compelling reason to share with their audience and invite them to you. And what I'm doing right now is focusing only on online events and discussing the exact same steps I took to launch it from idea, actually, or interest in launching it all the way until the end. That's what's going to be in the in this guide.
And there's a link to that right by this video. And I just wanted to say one of the reasons I was really excited to share what you had to say, kind of do the recap and your offer here, if others are interested in doing a summit, is I have seen way too many education entrepreneurs go about things in what I would consider the wrong way, or they fail unnecessarily. And the problem in our industry, especially in the LMS software membership site industry, is that people go to the technology first, like LifterLMS or Teachable or whatever the tech is. And then they're like, okay, now I need to go get some content. I need to get some course or members only content. I need to get that together. And then I'm going to go, now I got this built. It's ready to take money. I got my content in there. It's time to build community. So they go from technology to content to community. If you do it the other way around, so this is the public service announcement of this all. If you could sacrifice those 2 to 3 months, potentially $500 to $1,000 to bootstrap your own virtual summit, you can actually build the community first. Engaging with that community, engaging with the experts, in your industry professionals, engaging with the audience that comes and the types of questions they ask is going to help you build exponentially better course content and members content. And then once you have that stuff, then you can go wrap it up in technology and launch that puppy. That sounds like that's going to be much more likely to be successful than doing it in the reverse. So that's why I think people should check out your guide and really think about this as a starting point. Or if you're struggling with the tools or you've launched and you're not getting enough traction, try this.
This is the best way to minimize your risk and increase your chances of building the right product, Chris. So one of the things you'll be able to accomplish through by applying the Accelerate method through an online event is when you get those people who you'd assume that are like-minded people interested in the same topic, you will be able to ask questions. All right, you'll be able to get the feedback that you need. You'll also be able to launch your product or service. And if you have a clear idea about what your product or service needs to have, then you also get an opportunity to pre-sell this product. If people buy, then that's your strongest validation criteria. And if people don't buy, then you're going to get another chance, a third and fourth and fifth chance to email them and ask them questions about what they need to have for this product to satisfy their needs. So really, I'm with absolute certainty, I'm going to tell you that the best way to start is by leveraging others' audience through an online event, is by asking them questions. One of the things I did with your interview is I asked you questions. Those are my questions. Some of them are my questions.
Yeah, this is consulting that like some people you'd have to charge
exactly
a lot of money to get. It's free consulting. That's one of the beauties of podcasting and summits is free consulting.
Whether it's during the interview or after the interview, I would go ahead and ask my questions, especially if it's something that they talked about. I would relate that to the things I'm doing. I would ask my questions. That's one other really great benefit of interacting with all those people. Referrals and recommendations. I've asked some after the interview. I would tell them, would you recommend me to someone else that I could speak with? And it's much easier to get to talk to someone else if you get recommended. So that was one of the ways, for example, that it helped me accelerate the way the people that I had interviewed. So I was able to get a lot more interviewees that way. Number 4, I pre-sold products. I sold existing products. Number 5, I helped many of those experts, and in exchange, if I ask if it's possible, Chris, to come and talk to your audience about the Bootstrapping Summit, chances are I have higher chances I'm going to be accepted. And that I did the same thing with other platforms for guest posting and podcasts and collaborations. One of the people that I actually interviewed has offered me a book collaboration. And so the benefits are limitless. And I think it's one of the things that really don't require a lot of expertise. It's more about getting hands dirty than wallets dry. And anyone can do it. So I highly recommend anybody listening right now to check the guide, read it from the beginning till the end. And I'll be happy to support, but I really think in any case, whether you're working alone or with me, take some of your time, invest some of your time, to take full advantage of this method and approach that's going to get you, that's going to drive a year worth of expected outcome within 2 to 3 months without burning stages.
That is awesome. Well, click the link by this video and check that out. Abdo, thank you for coming on and sharing your experience of how that went. We really appreciate it. I always love case studies and kind of looking at retroactive of like what happened there. And you've added incredible value in here to share the opportunity and also your story with the community. Is there anywhere else people can go to connect with you or find out more?
I think if they go to the Accelerate Method link, they'll also be on the website. So from there, they can find my website, my personal website, abdoriani.com. And if they have any questions when they're in, email me. I usually answer within 6 to 12 hours. So I'll be happy to help in any way.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Abdo.
Chris, thank you very much for having me. And thank you for being part of the Bootstrapping Summit too.
Absolutely.